We are modifying a Honda Accord 2018 1.5T. Taking the front bumper off, taking the skid plate off, and then these are like in front of the AC cooler, AC condenser. Now, I have a Mishimoto tube and fin transmission cooler, and then this is one from ECT or ECL, and this was a kit that came with the sandwich plate that goes in between the heat exchanger. It's really hard to find people doing this on the internet. If anything, there hasn't been any type of video of somebody doing this before. You will need actual Honda transmission fluid, very important. Some people use other brands like Amsoil and other shit, but I don't touch that stuff. We got the hosing that was provided with the kit, and then I bought some heat protective sheathing for that hosing just for extra cooling efficiency. It comes with these mounting points, and it also comes with brackets too, which I don't know if I'm going to use. It depends on where I can actually mount it. You know, I could put it on the crash bar, but it does stick out far, and I worry that the bumper will kind of get in the way. But for right now, more importantly, this is what we have to remove. Behind this, we should find one of these. So we got a brand new transmission oil filter. Essentially, this sandwich plate. I'm trying to do this with one hand. Hold on. This sandwich plate is what goes in between that, and that's how the oil is routed to the coolers. I'm going to mount two coolers because I bought this one first, and then I realized that I needed the sandwich plate. The only way to get this was to buy it with the kit that came with a second one, so I'm going to put two instead of one for extra cooling efficiency. So we'll see if it really works or if it doesn't. I already have the PRL intercooler. But yeah, I don't know if anybody's attempted this before. Truthfully, I have no idea. There's a possibility that somebody has, and I applaud them for trying. I'm gonna remove this, and then I'll get a video of what it looks like with it off. I am gonna lose some oil. That's why we got the extra oil to compensate for the removal of the heat exchanger. You know, you do have to get a little bit of work to get the front bumper off and everything, but it's not too bad. I will say it's not too bad. I think what I'm gonna do is probably route the hoses right through here and have them come out the other side and plug in right there. So it should be plenty, but we will find out. We got the Mishimoto transmission cooler. We got the ECL or ECT, whatever the kit's called. We got the fluid, hosing, heat protective sheathing for the hosing, sandwich plate. So once you get your front bumper off, you're going to want to take everything off of the front. You're going to want 10 millimeter and 12 millimeter sockets. This is a 12 millimeter socket now. This is our heat exchanger right here. Now these bolts are 12 millimeter, so we have a 12 mil on the socket wrench. I just broke them off. They're not too hard to get. You just have to give it a little bit of force. You don't want to go too hard. The worst situation is snapping these bolts, which I think would be kind of difficult to do. But I also removed the there's a hose that goes from right here to right here, and that's for the intercooler. So just remove that for easier access. There's one bolt that's on the very bottom. It's kind of hard to see, but just connected to it. There we go. We'll start to loosen that a little bit. As you can see, the heat exchanger is starting to come loose here. You will want to put a plastic bag or some type of catch pan underneath the car just to make sure that you don't spill oil on your driveway or wherever you're doing this. As you can see, oil is already seeping out. You're going to lose about 0.3 to 0.7 quarts of oil. It's normal for these cars. As you can see, I'm just working these, kind of going in a triangle way, so that way we evenly untorque everything. That one on the bottom is kind of a pain in the ass to get. I think this is a necessary upgrade, especially for those who like to drive their car hard, and if you're planning to mod the 1.5T like I have done, it's important that you keep your transmission cool. We have a hot summer on the way that Heat is really the #1 killer on these cars, especially the transmission, and this is your only cooling unit on the car. There's nothing else on the car that's actually cooling the car except for this, but it does two things. These hoses that come into the heat exchanger, those are running coolant from the radiator. So this heat exchanger will heat up your transmission fluid, but it'll also cool it, just not efficiently. That coolant from the radiator is also hot. So, you know, if you're running anything over like 220 degrees, it's pretty bad for your transmission. Anything over 230 is really bad. If you're monitoring your car and you're running a K-Tuner V2 and you see that your car's transmission temps are over 230, you want to stop immediately, pull over to the side of the road and try to address exactly what's going on, because that's not normal and it's really bad. To mitigate heat, we're using a standard system. As you can see, I already started to lose oil. It's dripping all down there. It's not too much though. It's not a like OD amount of oil. I'm gonna put my other glove on because I got a bunch of oil on my hands when I was using the check bolt. By the way, on these transmissions, there is a check bolt and then there's a drain plug. Don't pull drain plug. There's a difference. I'm pretty sure the bolts that it does provide are longer, so I don't believe that we will need these bolts. Good bit of oil's already come out, but that's okay. That's why we removed the skid plate on the bottom, and as you can see, I have a trash bag down there to catch some of that oil that's coming out. We fully disconnected the heat exchanger. You have your two gaskets on the back. It looks pretty clean. I got some brake cleaner so we can clean this off, make sure we give it a nice snug fit. So I'm just going to put that there to the side, and now we have access to the transmission oil filter. Inch it out here, it'll come right out. There you go. This is one of the other things in your car that will damage it over time if it is not properly maintained. You absolutely want to replace this in your car. Look at how absolutely fucking disgusting that is. And it comes with new gaskets and a new kit, so we don't need this anymore. And that can go in the trash. The sandwich plate is going to connect here, here, here. And we're going to put that new filter in. We are provided with 3 gaskets in the kit. We have the new filter here. Gasket number 1. I'm going to put over top just like that. I'm not really going to wipe anything out of here. It doesn't look dirty or excessively bad. So we're going to just stick that right in there. The gasket over top. Just like that. I think it just kind of sits in there. It doesn't really click in or do anything. We have our sandwich plate, as you can see. And it is structured so that way you can see the positioning. This is going to be on the outside, that's going to go on the inside, so that way these tubes are sticking away from the downpipe, like so. It's going to fit in just like that. Oh, that's so fire it fits. You know, this is actually made for a Honda Civic, and the Honda Civic 1.5 is the same engine as the Honda Accord 1.5. What do you know? I kind of want to put the hosing on prior to, I don't know if it's going to be too hard. I mean, we have plenty though. Like way enough. And look, that goes right through there perfectly. I don't know how much I'm going to need of this. I might cut it. I might not need all of it. So these are the 3 bolts provided for installing the sandwich plate. Let's install these new gaskets onto the heat exchanger. Take your screwdriver or flathead, just pry it in there. Pry these off gently. You don't want to scratch the metal or make any like weird dents to where there's not a perfect seal. There's the old one. I'm going to take this other one out. There we go. Just like that. We're going to use brake cleaner. I'm using the Brake Clean by CRC. Go ahead and get the heat exchanger up here. Spray it. Just clean it off. Looks a lot better. Get a little bit more spray. You see where the excess oil residue got on there. It's not a big deal. It's not perfectly clean, but it looks a lot better with a little bit of brake cleaner. Now we can install seal number 1. Gonna place her in there. You got these little notches. There we go. That's good enough. Seal number 2. If you're just doing a transmission filter change, this is also going to be the same way that you do it. You know, we're just adding kind of an extra step here. We'll take our sandwich plate, which already has seals. The green seals are already on there. You don't really have to do anything extra there. So I'm going to go ahead and line it up with the heat exchanger. I'm going to go ahead and put the bolts through just like so. I'm going to do the first 2 for now, and then we'll get the third one. Everything should line up as long as there's 2 on there. Make sure those are all nicely threaded. Kind of got all of them threaded in by hand. 10mm socket, just like that. Start tightening. I like knowing anything and everything that there is to know about doing something before I attempt it, just so I know that I'm giving myself the best possible chance at making sure it actually works. And I thought that I had to disconnect those hoses, but I was wrong. Those are actually coolant hoses. You really don't want to disconnect those. Unless you're doing some type of coolant change or you're replacing the hoses, that's totally fine. But make sure you have coolant with you. Not going anywhere. We're gonna check for leaks after. I'm pretty sure that's pretty well tightened. I'm not too worried about it. I don't need to do 2, but I have 2. And 2 is better than 1. There's really only one way to find out the best way to do it. I've never put this up to it, but see if I bought the right size one. That joint is perfect. Look at that. I want to be careful with the fins. They bend really, really easily. When they sent the actual product to me, there's a couple that are bent that came in the package. I think it's just from shipping. Overall, it looks fine. See anything that's really, really damaged, make sure you go get yourself another one. You don't want there to be any type of leaks at all. Wait, is that a full bottle of Dawn?
Yeah.
A bottle of Dawn is always good for working on cars. You know, like it helps you, you know, it helps your eyesight. I have this hose from Mishimoto. The other 2 hoses are from the other kit. I'm going to use one hose to route to one cooler and one hose to route to the other cooler. I don't think using these brackets is really going to make sense because there's not much clearance on the bumper. These would be the best for stability, but both of these are fairly light. And I don't know where I'd mount this. Like what, on the crash bar? Like I'd have to drill into the crash bar. I'm not really too fond of doing that, if I'm being honest. This is our other cooler. Much smaller. Still effective, but a lot smaller. So let's say that this is connected on like this. Could be like that. I mean, that could work. It just would be kind of janky, I ain't gonna lie. But I want to focus on getting this one connected first using the provided zip ties. Alright, so we put these little push ties through the intercooler or the transmission cooler. And then these are foam pads that stick to the back. You just run them through. These are really long, and the clearance, I actually tightened them through. I took these bolts off here, one here, so we can pull this up just a little bit, but it's not that much clearance, so I'm going to snip them down a little bit, and then you use these to secure them to the back. Pin things. I think you put them on like this, and then you just push it back down onto it somehow. It's not perfect, but we got both of the coolers installed. I decided to just stack them on top of each other because it was kind of extra anyways. So I'm gonna route probably from one of these to this one first. Also, I will mention, this is a pain in the ass. This part of the frame is blocking the AC condenser, so you can't get it past there. So there's so much clearance that you can get to actually access inside there. I was using scissors and just cutting it. Snip the ends of those cable ties. You're gonna break some of the metal off like that. It's bound to happen. It's kind of hard to avoid, if I'm being honest. I also have these ones, but these ones were so low that I couldn't even reach. At least I couldn't hardly reach anything. So I think with enough just friction, as you can see, it's right there. That'll stay in. We'll find out. I'm gonna put another one right here. I already put the foam behind it, so that way, as you can see, the foam's in there, in between these two, and in between here. So that way there's foam. So I got those sticking out down there, one right there. I only had 8 total, so I kind of had to use what I had to work with. But you know, this doesn't seem to be moving, this doesn't seem to be moving, and they're fairly light, so that should work. Looks a little crazy, but that should work. So I'm gonna try and route the hoses now and see how that goes. So I made my decision with the routing. The hose that came with the Mishimoto was a little bit longer than the hoses that came in the other kit. So that was able to fit all the way under here. So I ran it through right here. Goes down, through, around, and pops back out there. Transmission's right here, which could be getting hot. So that's why I got this heat protective shield. I'm gonna put 2, I have 8 of these clamps. I'm gonna put 2 on here and just make sure it doesn't come off. And then I'm going to try and use some penetrating oil just to give it a little bit of wiggle room. There is like a little lip at the end of here, so I'm not too worried about anything coming too loose, but we just want to put a little bit on there just to try and make it a little easier for the actual hose to get on there. I'm going to try and connect that hose. I ended up taking the sandwich plate off again just so I could get the hoses on, because these started to spin, so I had to tighten these down so then I could put the hose on. So I'm going to route the other hose and then reattach it and then get the hoses routed here. Alright, just a little update. I want to show you we successfully connected all the hoses to the sandwich plate. They seem to be moving just a little bit, but I think they'll be alright. They're pretty tightened down there. Fully installed everything. This was a hassle, honestly, more difficult than this. If you're running the 2 setup, I kind of just went overkill with the cooling ability, but I mean, fuck it. So we have the lines coming from here. That's that one down here on the bottom, routing through the side. Up here we got the heat shield on it. Then after that, we have a hose here. It's running down through and connected to the bottom of this one. And then that's gonna pump everything all the way up through here, back through this hose. Heat shielded it up, right back to the sandwich plate. Looking good. We got the oil opener right there. That's where you put in your transmission oil. So, got some fluid. I already put some in there, but I'm gonna figure out exactly how much I need to put, because I'm kind of unsure. But I'm gonna start reconnecting everything so that way I can turn the vehicle on. And just make sure that everything pumps through a couple cycles, and then we'll use the check bolt and make sure that there's not excess oil in the transmission. Alright, I successfully reinstalled the charge pipe coming from the intercooler. These are 10mm. You can use Phillips head, but 10mm socket is much easier. I highly recommend. As you can see, everything with the sandwich plates plugged in. We are all wired and ready to go. Nothing's shaking around, so that's good. So now all there's left to do is put the air intake back in. Thankfully, nothing's obstructing. It's not hitting any of our hosing, which is an added plus. So we might be good to go ahead and reinstall this. The only problem is getting to that fluid down there. It's going to be a little tough. So I'd rather know that everything's running smoothly before we reinstall that. So let's go ahead and grab our air intake, because there's really not much else that we need to do. Bolt back these 2 bolts on the AC condenser. And next, we're gonna get the plastic piece back on there. So I'm not gonna lie, I tried to take this rubber part off of this plastic piece. It's supposed to sit like right in here, but I can't get it. And I honestly don't see the point in having this piece on the car at all. So I don't think I'm gonna use it. I think I'm gonna go without it. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to reassemble the car no problem without the specific piece. If I encounter a problem, I might have to just break it to fit it in there, but I'd rather not. Might be a little easier, just keep it open, and that allows for a lot more work room if I need to come back and fix something. So I should just be able to start with this piece now and set that there right on top. This holds some of the wiring, so it's definitely necessary. This piece you definitely need, but that other piece not so much. So I just turned the car on. Seems like we have no leaks. Everything's working fine. I could feel the fluid heat in the actual hoses, so that's confirmation that we are getting heat traveling through the coolers now installed, which is pretty extra. I'm not gonna lie, this is an extra setup. You really don't need to do this much. Now after that, I ran it for about 3 minutes. I'm gonna take this off and we're gonna fill it up with some more fluid and keep doing that repeatedly about 3 times until we know that there's full fluid circulation. After that, we'll look at the check bolt and then let enough drain out so we know where it's a perfect level. So I don't think I lost a whole quart of oil. Hard to say. I definitely got some oil on the fucking road. Whatever. But, you know, I don't think I lost half a quart, but I put half a quart back in just in case. And put the bumper off. So I'm just gonna drive it, kind of see what happens. The hood doesn't fully seat, which is kind of funny. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and drive it for about 10 minutes and then see if everything's good, get the transmission oil up to temp, and then come back, check the check bolt, put the front bumper back on, and we good. Not gonna lie, it was a lot of work at the end there to put everything back together, but I didn't make a video because I was super tired. But anyways, I just drove about 20 minutes and my temps got up to 176 degrees Fahrenheit, which they usually would get up to 195. As you can see, the coolers are holding up just fine and they are working. They are absolutely doing their job as intended. It's nice because, you know, there is that silver in the back, but you can't really see it from a distance. But everything is working really well, which is exciting. So, do I recommend this mod if you have a 1.5? Absolutely. Do this mod to save your CVT or, you know, prevent it from going belly up in the future. You know, if you modify a car and you put in way more torque, you want to compensate. This is how you compensate. So, I'd say I give my work a 10 out of 10, honestly. Where it doesn't get hot. It just doesn't overheat anymore, which is nice. I'm not too worried about oil temperatures in the engine. They said anywhere from 170 to 190, 195. Those always fluctuate, so those are still being cooled. And without that plastic piece that's usually in here, there's actually a little bit of extra cooling because air now can get to places it couldn't. So that's another added benefit. And it's a little bit of weight reduction, you could say. But overall, that's the mod. This thing is fully modified. There's really nothing else I can do to it. But appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hopefully this helps.